Hello everyone, Sights for Eyes here, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in Anime. We got a lot of anime to talk about this week, some good shows, and I have a surprise recommendation, so stay tuned. Okay, so the first anime I want to talk about today is Bungo Stray Dogs 1. Bungo Stray Dogs 1 is a spin-off of the anime Bungo Stray Dogs, which, to give like a brief synopsis of Bungo Stray Dogs, it's about these detectives working in Yokohama, and they all have these powers that are based off on like famous authors and writers, and it's a pretty fun watch, and I highly recommend it. But that's not my anime recommendation. So anyway, Bungo Stray Dogs One, like Wan WAN, as in the sound. And the automatopoeia, the dog, a dog makes in Japanese. I can't talk right now. Is a comedy show, a chibi foreign comedy show. It's very funny at first, a little misleading because like Bungo Stray Dogs, they're dogs and dogs bark, which is one in Japanese. So the anime start off as in like the main characters and some villains in dog forms. And so I thought the anime was just going to be like, okay, so they're just going to be cute little dogs throughout the whole 11 minutes. So yeah, each episode is 11 minutes, by the way. And so that wasn't the case. It really just like an opening act to introduce, kind of like throw the viewers out on a ledge or something like that. Well, they got them in the first half, was what you want to say. But anyway, it's a 11-minute anime, a chibi form comedy. I highly recommend it. I definitely had some laugh. But I wouldn't say necessarily watch this if you haven't watched at least the first 3 seasons of Bungo Stray Dogs. So I highly recommend watching Bungo Stray Dogs first 3 seasons first, and then you watch Bungo Stray Dogs 1, because the way the characters are is and how the chibi form the comedy play off, it's just like it translates perfectly well. Now, just to give like a heads up, there is one of the main characters named Dazai. He jokes about suicide, not in a morbid sense, but in a way that like it's a reflection of who he was, like his real life counterpart. That the real life Osamu Dazai committed suicide, and yeah, there's some issues with that. And the anime part of Osamu Dazai, he sometimes joke about suicide. So some people may find it funny, some people may find it distasteful. It's really meant supposed to be funny and more of like historical sense, it's something like that, if that's the best way to say it. But yeah, so there's a little warning behind that. But anyway, I Bungo Stray Dogs 1 is a great first introduction episode, and I'm a big fan of the series, so I'll definitely be watching this weekly. Next up is the anime Cells at Work Code Black. So this week's not only gave us not one new episode, but overall 3 new episodes in all. But I've only had time to watch the second episode that's was released. So the second episode talks about alcohol. So like it talks about, well, more specifically, how alcohol affects the body, which is more, it's quite entertaining and more interesting to know about, like why like it's okay to drink alcohol but not in an excessive amount. Like excessive drinking could cause a lot of damage. And there's yeah, so like how, like if you ever wonder how um if you ever want to know how people stop getting like drunk after a certain period, it explains how the whole alcohol process works in the body and things like that. So that was interesting to learn. So yeah, another death happened, or more deaths happened in this episode. And during this episode, it does answer a question I have been thinking about. What exactly happened to red blood cells when they die? Well, this episode answered that question like entirely. Like, so when red blood cells die, I'm not speaking like in an anime sense, but also like in a realistic sense. So apparently, there's like some kind of like cell or something in the liver that eats the red blood cell or consumes the red blood cell and convert it into nutrients to get the body pumping and things like that. So that's quite informative, and honestly, maybe it's been in the back of my head, but I've never really considered like what happens if red blood cells die or something like that, or if they even die. So yeah, there's that. And so the more I watch Cells at Work Code Black, it gives me like a there's that expression, be kind to your body. So it's good. Like, how to say this? I like the fact that like the cells in different parts of the bodies, like the cells are personified, because like it kind of like reinforces the expressions, be kind to your body. The cells are like, they're in a way they're people too. They're just doing their jobs. Don't make life harder on them. Don't make life harder for your body. Take care of your body, and you can't stress out. I can't stress us enough, and this show can't stress off just enough. I can't talk. So anyway, let's go to the next segment. So I watched a new anime this week. It's called Wonder Egg Priority. So what it's about exactly, and is it worth watching? So let's find out. So Wonder Egg Priority, a character named Iota saves a bug from being run over, but it was already dead. However, after giving it a proper burial, the bug will revive and offers to grant Ai a wish, though she says she doesn't want anything. In actuality, though, she wants a friend. Ai then wakes up from what seemed to be a dream, alongside an egg in her bed, not knowing what to do with it. So that night, Ai fell asleep and began to dream again. This time, she's at her school. It's here we learn more about Ai. She was bullied for her eyes, which she has heterochromia, where she has different color eyes. So one eye is yellow, one eye is blue. Yeah, so she also had a friend named Koito, in which they became best friends after Ai was hesitant. They became best friends. But an incident happened where it seemed Koito committed suicide or tried to commit suicide. It's not really. I'll get more to that. And so I blames herself for like Koito's suicide. The circumstances of like why she committed suicide or what led to that point is not explained in this episode. And so because of the incident, I stops going to school, where her teacher stops by her home after school to deliver homework. So still in a dream, Ai opens the egg and a girl named Kurumi Saijo appears. Not long afterwards, a menacing person and some beings called Sino Evils began to chase him throughout the school. During the chase, Kurumi and Ai were injured, but only Kurumi suffered the injury. So after briefly escaping from being chased, Ai and Kurumi became friends, but after they became friends, they were being chased again. But it is then that we learn that only Kurumi was being chased after, so Ai stayed behind to not cause any trouble. And so after reminiscing about Koito, Ai finds herself on a statue on the rooftop of the school near the ledge. And the statue resembles Koito. So while on the statue, she sees Kurumi in trouble and about to die. So I save Kurumi by defeating the Sino Evils. So Kurumi thanks her for saving her and says, let's meet again or try to find me, something like that. But Kurumi abruptly disappears, and Ai discovers that like the statue of Koito was slightly warm and that the statue had shed a tear. Ai is then woken into reality again and eats breakfast. During breakfast, however, her nose and liver began to bleed, most likely from the injury in her dream, and she was taken to the hospital in critical condition. She then awakens in the dream world again, where she meets the bug again, named Aka, and someone else named Aka, and they look like mannequin puppets or something like that. And so Ai learns that there's a possibility that Koito could be brought back to life. But when asking about Kurumi, what happened to Kurumi, Aka says no comment, and that there's also a statue of Kurumi somewhere in the world, and that Kurumi's own friend must try to save her. So I decides to want to save the people that she meets in her dreams. Aga tells Ai to get more eggs from the toy vending machine, but then she meets a mysterious girl, maybe the next person that she's to save. And so with that, this anime, first I'll say it is a good watch, and I plan on watching it going forward. However, kind of has to like, well, not kind of has to. Some parts of the episode, I'll be like maybe like one or two moments where like just a little bit boring, but overall, I'll say this is an interesting anime to watch. It can be a little confusing, but I think like it's up to us as a viewers to like piece together like what's going on and like the memories and like what's going to happen. And I kind of foresee of like a happy but sad ending happening at the end of this anime. So we'll see for that. We'll see about that. Visually, the anime is like appealing. I reckon, yeah, good visuals. Realistic. Well, I wouldn't say semi-realistic. And so it's more like this anime connects with the human emotions more than anything else. And we want to know like what happened to Koito. What about Ai? What's going to happen to Ai? Is this all a dream? Is this fantasy? And so there's a lot that we want to find out going forward. And so it's the first episode that is like it did get me like invested and like hooked on it. That not necessarily hooked, but invested enough that I want to keep watching like for the rest of this season. So good job. Wonder Egg Priority. I definitely keep an eye on that. Keep an eye out on that, man. I can't talk. Up next is Jujutsu Kaisen. So Jujutsu Kaisen returned from its winter break, its long winter break hiatus or whatever. Anyway, Jujutsu Kaisen returned, and I would say I've been waiting for this episode, and I'm looking forward to like the remaining of this season, because honestly, last season, the first 13 episodes, I was spoiled a bit because I kind of knew what was going to happen, and yeah, that kind of brought down like my anticipation excitement level a little. But in this new arc, which is like the Tokyo school, it's like competing with the Kyoto school. This arc I had nothing about, and I want to keep it that way, so no spoilers please. With that said, so this episode like introduces like the new opening and a new ending. I'll get into that momentarily, but first, the episode. It's a good episode overall to introduce like the Kyoto team, and Yuji came back to like his team. But one thing I like about Jujutsu Kaisen is that like it never disappoints. It's like always surprising. So I kind of imagine like Yuji reappearing, coming back to his team like in the typical shonen fashion, like, hey, I'm here to save you all. But no, they set up like this big joke like from the beginning of the episode, or after the opening, where like the teacher Satoru Gojo saying like, hey, this is how you should come back to your team, and like they set this up. And so yeah, that fell flat. Like, but in a funny way though. And so yeah, they introduced that, and yeah, Yuji's brought back to his team, and like Megumi and Nobara is kind of pissed about it. Like, so you've been dead the whole time, but you didn't say anything, and like she was not happy about it. Megumi was kind of like, he didn't like it, but he understands. Kind of like bro to bro, or partner to partners, things like that, buddies. Yeah, so yeah, there's that. And I'm kind of worried for Yuji though, because like I keep saying okay, I'm worried for Yuji because the Kyoto school, the principal, that old guy, still wants him dead for Yeah, and so I'm worried about that. And if anything about Jujutsu Kaisen, it's just like always be on your toes. Something tragic could happen at like almost any given moment, and I don't know. I just really got bad vibes from like the principal guy of the Kyoto school. It's yeah, I'm curious about like what's going to happen going forward. And so with that said, the principal said like okay, during a competition, take out Yuji at all costs because he's a vessel of Sukuna. Yeah, he's a vessel of Sukuna, and we can't allow him to happen. We can't allow that to happen. So of course he's breaking the rules because the rule states that like you can't you can interfere with the other team, you can like hurt them, but don't incapacitate them, don't kill them. But he's almost off the bat going against the rules secretly, and so he left it to like the students at the Kyoto school to like y'all plan how to finish off Yuji. Toto wasn't on board on that at all, and the blue haired girl, I forgot her name at the moment, doesn't want to go along with it also, and just it's kind of like disorganized and things like that. It seems like the students don't want to, but they know by order of the principal they have to, and so there's that. And so the Tokyo team, Yuji's team, they're just like making a plan like, so this is how we're gonna win the first round, which the first round is like to eliminate the level 2 curse while also exercising the level 3 curses, the weaker curses, also in the forest. So it's like I don't know, catch the ball or catch like get the goal, something. I don't know. My mind's like all jumbled right now. So yeah, so that's pretty much the episode. Oh, I should mention like also like how Yuji really tries to be like the shonen protagonist, a typical shonen protagonist. So like at the end, towards the end of the episode, before like the ending plays, so like it's like, okay, we're gonna win this competition. Yuji like gets up front like, okay, let's do it, like posing like all shonen style, and then I want to say her name's Maki. Maki is like, what are you doing? It's like, what are you doing? Get back in the back. Yeah, so that was funny. Now for the opening and ending, the opening song, the visuals I like a lot, and I like the mood that it sets up to be, that it's setting up to be. So I kind of know what to expect. At the same time, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's happening except for like a major fight. I know that's going to happen, and I know bonds are formed and things like that. But the song wise, I still like the first opening of Jujutsu Kaisen, like Kai Kai Kitan by Eve. I like that. The new opening it's alright, but it just doesn't hit like the first opening. But the new ending though, I like it a lot visually and the song. So the new ending is called Give It Back by the singer Ko Shunia, which is my favorite band now. One of my favorite band. They did the ending songs for The Promised Neverland and Psychopaths ending, and Tokyo Ghoul RE first opening. So yeah, this is a pretty good band, and this song is quite sad, and it's heartwarming and sad at the same time. So definitely recommend. Like, I like this song, like, definitely. So, and I should also mention like the next episode preview song has changed, and while I will miss like the first season preview song, this one is like so hype. It's like it gets you hype for like what's going to happen next. So Jujutsu Kaisen is back on point as usual. Like it. So yeah. Next up is the anime The Promised Neverland Season 2, the second episode. So from last week, the two demons who saved Emma and the gang are named Mujika and Sonju. Mujika and Sonju don't eat humans and are considered heretics of their race. So they eat normal foods like a typical person would eat. They also warn like Emma and everyone else that they are the very few demons, if not the only ones, who are good. While they should be careful of like the other demons, the other demons do mean harm. Sanju also explains the history of the world. So there's actually two societies. They are on Earth, make no doubt about it. But there's actually two societies on Earth. So there's a human side of society and a demon side of society. But in the past, the two societies coexisted, with demons killing and eating humans, and humans killing demons to fend for themselves. Eventually, the two races made a promise to stop killing each other, thus creating the two societies. Emma and Ray are excited to know that they are in the world that they can return to the human society. But one thing that came to my mind is like they didn't bother to wonder how or why they got into the demon side in the first place. But maybe we'll learn more about that soon. So Sanju and Mujika teach Emma and everyone else how to live on their own in the wild, like how to cook food, plants to identify, typical like camping things like that. And they also tell them like how to get to their destination to meet the mysterious Mr. Minerva. And so they can't directly leave the forest. They have to like go up north and go around. So they said like it's probably like another week until they get to like their location. And another thing that's worrying is that the demons who were chasing after Ray found the message that he carved in the tree from the previous episode. I still want to know what that's about, because like something about pursuers goes somewhere. I think he gave away like the coordinates to Mr. Minerva. And so with that said, Emma went to the surface with Sanju to scope out their surroundings to make sure it's safe. And while up there, Sanju taught Emma Emma wanted to know how to like make a kill, like how to kill. And so Emma made her first live kill, which is a bird. So of course, I guess they want to eat meat, like they want to eat meat while like out in the real world or trying to find their way home. And so killing the bird traumatized her a bit. So she prayed over the bird that she killed. And she also thought about like, this is probably how like the children from the orphanage that were taken away were killed. And so she began to think about Norman. Yeah, sorry about that. And so Emma returned with like the bird she killed. But the children and Ray noticed that like she looks a bit different from usual. And so the episode ends there. This episode was a lot of like world building and a lot more like plot advancement, albeit through dialogue. And so with that said, I look forward to the next week's episode. Like I still want to know like where is this going. That's the thing about the Promised Neverland, and just me not reading a manga. It's just like I'm interested into like know what's going to happen. Each episode like keeps me like glued to my feet and like my eyes glued and just looking forward to like what's going to happen, things like that. And Mujika and Sanju plan to like leave the orphanage gang. Like, all right, we got you this far, now you can take care of the rest. But something tells me that they're going to be part of the main cast. And so I'm hoping to see like that they're part of the main cast. They're pretty cool characters actually, especially Sanju. And so I look forward to it, and looking forward to the rest of this season, especially like some of the clues that's found in the opening, like the human farms, the demons, things like that. And apparently there is a main antagonist. And yeah, so there's that. And now the moment that you all have been waiting for, this week's Attack on Titan episode. Now before we go any further, warning, this is spoiler territory. So if not, then fast forward to the next part of this video. So now, okay, this week's Attack on Titan episode was just phenomenal. Like, oh my gosh, like I could not blink the whole time. Like everything moving so fast, high tense action, the music, it just, oh my god, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, so first, now I understand why and how the soldiers knew of where Eren and Reiner and Falco were towards the end of the episode last week. So I was wondering, like, when I saw that, like, okay, so how did they know that they were in the basement? Like, how did they know where to go? And so they know by this episode beginning explains it, that Willie has been keeping an eye out on the island, and so, well, of Parody Island. So like they know, like, hey, something's going to happen, so, and I'm most likely going to die, so let's have everything set up. Let's just use this as bait so we can get the Founding Titan. And so that's how how everything was set up, like where they were going, things like that. And also Peak knew that like something was up with that bearded soldier. Okay, I can't speak right now, but so much hype. Yeah, so Peak, when she hugged her the fat guy of her fan club, she actually whispered to him, like, don't trust that bearded soldier, follow me. Okay, and that led to like Peak and Porco getting trapped in that basement down there, like in that pitfall thing down there. And so shortly after, Peak's fan club rescued them. And so after they were rescued, Peak said, like, get her cart time armor Titan weapon from wherever it was stored at. And so, like, okay, we got you. And so right as she was saying that, she saw like the Parody soldiers like flying around in the air with their maneuver gear, 3D maneuver gear. And so she was shocked about it. But okay, but the fight between Eren in his Titan form and the Warhammer Titan was just, it was so awesome. Like, it was just like too intense. Like, Eren really gave no crap in this episode. Like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but go back to the beginning of the episode after like Willie's plan being explained. And so after that, Eren just went haywire, just like destroying everything. And like as soon as he saw like the commanders and everything sitting in their section, he went over there and just like did like a WWE like body slam on that area. And just like people were running, it was just mass mayhem. And like it was at that moment, it's like, yeah, this is war. So like war is terrible. Like, of course it is, but like actually watching it and experience it, it's just like, this is terrible. And so I will say this, as I watch Attack on Titan, I don't just put myself in like the Eldian shoes, but I also try to put myself like a Marlion's shoes also. And so I can see why, like, of course, like calling them devils, like the Eldians devil, there's still a lot of explanation that's needed. But the whole factor, like how every side is affected somehow, that is really, it's tragic, really. So Sophia and Uda were killed in this episode. Sophia was crushed by a rock, and Udo was trampled to death. And so, yeah, that is very tragic. And just witnessing that, Gabby, I know, okay, so I know why Gabby, I understand why Gabby is like the most hated character in Attack on Titan. But at the same time, I understand from her perspective, like, Eren caused all this. Well, actually, the history caused all this. But anyway, Aaron killed Sophia indirectly. And in that perspective, he also killed Udo indirectly because he got trampled. And so, was Gabby saw Sophia crushed underneath the rock, that broke her. But when she witnessed Udo dying, that broke her even more. And so, also in that episode, those two guards that always were friends, like talked to Gabby and them, they were shot and killed by Sasha. And so that was like the breaking point for Gabby. And so I'm not saying that like I don't know what I'm saying, but like I understand Gabby. Like I understand like why she's gonna do why she became I understand what led her to become like the most hated character in Attack on Titan series. But do I hate her? No, I still don't have a reason to hate Gabby. Yeah, she's a little annoying, but she's just a child. Children can be annoying sometimes. But yeah, I understand it completely, but just yeah, but like anyway, moving on from that. So the Survey Corps is here. You saw Mikasa, Levi, Sasha, what's it, Connie, and John. And then there's, I forgot that man's, Phlox, yeah. So Phlox, if anything, Phlox should be the most hated character in Attack on Titan because of what he had said towards Jean in response. Jean was like, John, or whatever his name, Horseface, what's his called, Horseface. Horseface said like, keep the casualty to a minimum. Don't kill women and children. And then, yeah, and so Phlox said like, they're all devils, they're all demons, they all killed us and things like that. So he's the one holding like the biggest grudge. And so they didn't have time to argue for that. You just got to get the ball rolling and stuff like that. And so Mikasa came to Eren's side. Mikasa saved Eren. And so during like a brief moment, like a pause and stuff like that, Mikasa said like, you killed a lot of people, Eren. Don't you realize what you've done? You can't turn back from this now. The way that Mikasa was looking at Eren, she was like tearful, like sorry for him. Not really sorry for him, but like just in pain because of Eren's action. While meanwhile, Eren was like, no crap, start giving. So yeah. So Eren found out like the source of the Warhammer, like how the Warhammer Titan is fighting. And so right when he was about to eat the Warhammer Titan, I don't know how, because she crystallized like Annie. Porco came and was about to defeat Eren by like biting Eren from his Titan where he is as a Titan. But then Levi came and then like just cut off Porco's jaw. And so yeah, this episode of Attack on Titan was just phenomenal. Like the music, the action, the plot line, everything was just like A1. Sorry, I just burped, but A1. So yeah, there's that. I definitely can't wait for like next week's episode, which is wow. Okay, so the hype the hype is so good. Attack on Titan final season it is not disappointing at all. And last but not least, this week's anime recommendation is Kuroko's Basketball. So now Kuroko's Basketball is not quite new, but the English dub has been released on Netflix recently. And let me tell you, the English dub of Kuroko's Basketball is very good. Like, I know people keep saying dub sucks, subs all the way, but I will say this, for like, from the episodes that I have watched, the dub was like very good. Like, almost exactly how I would imagine it. Like so far, I've only seen like the first two episodes, but the dub is very good. So they got Kuroko's voice, English voice, on point. Taiga on point. The other people on point. So yeah, so I haven't watched the whole series. I'm probably gonna marathon it like later this week. And so this is like a very good English dub. Like definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, so the English dub of Kuroko's Basketball, highly recommend it. And dare I say it's a lot better than, not a lot better, but on par of the Japanese voice acting. So Kuroko's Basketball is the recommendation of the week. Like really, the English dub is like the English dub really brought his A game, and I look forward to seeing like what else they have in store. So definitely gonna check this out, and definitely recommend you all to watch Kuroko's Basketball. It's a, yeah, you know, as you may already know, it's a basketball, it's a sports anime, but and I'm not a fan of sports anime exactly, with the exception being Kuroko and Haikyuu, which I still need to catch up in. And so, with that said, definitely recommend Kuroko's Basketball, and Kuroko's Basketball English dub is my anime of the week, anime recommendation of the week. And with that said, that concludes this week's episode of This Week in Anime. If you like it, if you're watching the YouTube video, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to my channel. And introducing, I'll be uploading this on my podcast, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Store, I think so. Yeah, I need to do a lot more back into like uploading my podcast and things like that. So in any case, enough of that rambling. So if you like the YouTube video, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe. And if you're watching the podcast, or if you're listening to the podcast version, be sure to stop by my my YouTube channel at Sights for Eyes. That's SIGHTS, the number 4 EYES. Links in the description below if you're watching the YouTube video version. And be sure to follow my social media at Facebook, the Facebook page Sights for an Introvert Speaks, and my Instagram page Sights for Eyes, where I post photography photos. And with that said, this is Sights for Eyes with This Week in Anime. So logging off for now so I can get some rest and think clearly. Catch you next time. Peace and good vibes all around.